of gathering.
سلام عليكم جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. بارئ الخلائق أجمعين، باعث الأنبياء والمرسلين، والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا سيد الخلق أجمعين، حبيبنا حبيب إله العالمين، أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المكرمين المنتجبين، لا سيما بقية الله في الأراضين. روحي وأرواح العالمين له الفداء، ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين إلى قيام يوم الدين. For the hastening and the return of our Imam, let's recite the salawat. اللهم صل. First, as I have been asked, a few words in Farsi, then I will resume, inshallah, with the discussion that we've been having these nights. یکی از نکاتی که انسان به ذهنش میرسه در رابطه با محرم و جریان کربلا و امام حسین، این اتفاقه که یه عده‌ای از مسلمان ها، عده‌ای از کسانی که روزانه نمازهای واجبشون رو ترک نمی کنن، اهل نمازن، اهل قرائت قرآن هستن، اهل روزه هستن، اینها به پیغمبر اعتقاد دارن. اینها جمع بشن، اونم نه یک نفر و دو نفر، 30,000 نفر، طبق اعدادی که در نقل تاریخ آمده، 30,000 نفر جمع بشن و با شادی و خوشحالی، نمیگم جگرگوشه پیغمبر رو، این سر جاش، حالا به اون هم میرسیم، با یک خشونت عجیب به یک مش زن و بچه، حالا میگم به مردها میرسیم، اینکه سید الشهدا کی هست، اینا بعد از ظهر عاشورا حمله ور شدن به خیمگاه امام حسین. شما اصلا در نظر نگیرید که این خیمگاه امام حسین، شما در نظر بگیرید اینها یک مش زن و بچه. حمله به خیمگاه این چجور میشه معنا بشه؟ یک مش آدمی که اهل نماز هستن بیفتن به جون زن و بچه، گوشواره از گوش این بکن. یه صحنه عجیبی، یه نقلش رو من یه تیکش رو عرض میکنم. یه نقلی هست میگه که اینا بین خودشون این حرف رو میزنن، میگه دیدم کسی داره اونجا گریه میکنه در حالی که داره یک لباسی از یکی از این بچه ها میکنه. بهش میگه چرا گریه میکنه؟ میگه خب اینا اولاد پیغمبرن. میگه خب اگه بد میدونی پس چه داری این کارو میکنی؟ میگه اگه من این کارو نکنم دیگری هم این کارو میکنه. این اصلا آدم تعجب میکنه که کسی چطور اینجور فکر بکنه. بعد از بین چه کسانی؟ از کسانی که اهل نماز و اینها هستن. یه قضیه یکی از برادران همین چند شب پیش برای من نقل کرد که من شنیده بودم، حالا ایشون باز گفتن که یک خانمی، قضیهش هم برام مهم نیست اصلا این خانم کجا بوده چی، یه جایی تو این عالم یه خانمی توی مسجدی یه آقایی فریاد میزنه این قرآن رو پاره کرد یا بی احترامی کرد. بعد یه مش آدم اهل نماز با چوب و با سنگ و اینها این خانم رو به قتل برسونن. این خشونت شما ببینید. چه کسانی؟ کسانی که نماز میخوانن، کسانی که قرآن، این چطور میشه؟ شاید اگر صبح اون روز به یک کسی که اونجا یه لگدی پروند، یه سنگی، یه چوبی به سر این زن زد، اگه صبح ازش میپرسیدی آیا به نظرت خوبه یه کسی رو یه اتهامی بهش زدن شما با چوب بکشی، شاید ازش میپرسیدی میگفت نه به نظرم خوب نیست. به عقلش مراجعه بکنه براش روشنه نه این کار درستی نیست، غلط. چی میشه که انسان‌ها، خب خیلی نکات هست ولی یه نکتهش رو میخوام عرض کنم، توجه به اینکه چه جوی چه فضایی انسان رو داره به اون جهتی که میره میکشه. یه سرصدایی میشه و یه چیزی گفته میشه و یه هیجانی ایجاد میشه، انسان‌ها یه کارهایی میکنن عجیب. چرا این کار رو کردید؟ چه کار زشتی است؟ اصلا اینکه این شخص معصومه، این شخص کسی است که پیغمبری که شما میگید قبولش دارید گفته این سید جوانان اهل بهشته، اون وقت دور این حلقه زدید، هر چه از دستتون اومد زدید به این، نشستید فکر بکنید دارید چه کار میکنید؟ نه، فضایی ایجاد شد، جوی ایجاد شد، یه کسی یه چیزی گفت، او یه هیجانی ایجاد کرد، افتادن بدون فکر که همچین شرایط زشتی رو ایجاد کردن. انسانی که با هیجانات بدون دقت، بدون توجه تصمیمات زندگیش رو میگیره، بله امکان داره توی شرایطی قرار بگیره 2 ساعت قبل بهش بگن آقا این کار خوبه، میگه نه، 2 ساعت بعد شرایط پیش میاد همون کار رو میکنه، همون کار رو میکنه، چون با فکر کار نمیکنه، اجازه نمیده فکر بکنه، تأمل کنه این کار درست هست یا نه. میبینه اطرافیان همه این سمتیان، اینم میره یه لگدی میزنه، بعدش میگه چرا لگد زدی تو؟ مگه این آدم مستحق این بود؟ دیگه همه زدن ما هم زدیم. خب همه غلط کردن، تو هم غلط میخوای بکنی؟ فکر نمیشه. این نکته‌ای که ما حالا به انگلیسی داریم این شبا صحبت میکنیم تقوا، این آقا آدم حواسش جمع باشه، فکرشو بگار، خدایی هست، این خدا این کار شما رو دوست داره الان که میخوای انجام بدی یا نه؟ این فکر کن قبل این که انجام، همیشه آدم عادت کنه به این، هر کاری میخواد انجام بده فکر کنه خدا به این کار راضیه یا نه. نه اینکه آقا هیجان انجام بده و فلان، آقا ببین خدا راضی نیست، من نمیتونم این کار انجام بدم، هی فشار میدن فلان، میترسونن، آقا جان منو اینجا بکشید من این کار انجام نمیدم. امیرالمؤمنین صلوات الله و سلامه علیه اینجور بود، فشار عجیب به حضرت که چه بکن. حالا سید الشهدا که الان محرمه، این همه فشار که آقا ایشون بپذیره با این ملعون کثیف بیعت بکن. حضرت میگه من اگر بیعت بکنم و علی الاسلام السلام، فکر میکنم یا خدا راضی نیست من با این بیعت کنم، بله جونم سالم، کسی بهم کاری نداره، زن و بچه هم سالم میمونن، نه علی اصغر هم کشته میشه، نه علی اکبر هم کشته میشه، نه برادر، هیچ اتفاقی نمیفته. چه اتفاقی میفته؟ اسلام ذبح میشود. اسلام میشه اسلامی که یزید و قبلیا و بعدیاش خواستن، این اسلام جا میفته. اسلامی که خدا خواسته از بین میره. تکه تکه کنید منو، حاضر نیستم من این کار رو انجام بدم. امکان نداره، امکان نداره. این یک فکری است. آدم توجهی به این بکنه، اگر انسان‌ها فکر بکنن و فکرشون هم درست باشه، یعنی به خدا توجه بکنن، حواسشون جمع به این باشه، فکری بکن قبل از اینکه به جای اینکه تو جو کثیفی راه بیفته. وقت بین ما مسلمون‌ها یک کارهایی اتفاق میفته، ماها انجام میدیم که بعدش دیگران نگاه میکنن، خود مسلمان‌های بعدی، خود اون شخص نگاه میکنه، تعجب میکنی چی شد که یه همچین کاری. فضا این ریشش اینه، این که میگن تقوا نداره یعنی این. اگه تقوا داشتی قبل از اینکه این جو شما رو ببره، شما فکر میکردی خدا راضیه به اینه یا نه. وقتی این فکر رو نمیکنی، یعنی تقوا، این حواست نیست به اینکه چی کار داری میکنی. هم گاهی اوقات این حواس آدم جمع نباشه، نمیبینه کثیفی کار خودش رو، زشتی کار خودش رو. وقتی یه حرفی میزنه ولی یه وقت زشتی و کثیفیش اینجوریه، اینقدر عیانه، اینقدر روه، اینقدر روشنه، همه میبینن، خود طرف هم نگاه میکنه شرمنده میشه. من یه دادگاهی رو میدیدم، یه عده‌ای ریخته بودن، یک جوان متدین هیچ کاری هم به کسی نداشت، ریختن با چاقو و لگد و این حرفا، اینو کشتن. حلقه کشتن. این خود طرف داره توضیح میده چی کار کرده، شرمش میاد، خجالت میکشه که داره میگه من این کارو کردم. دکتر طرف پزشک بود، داره توضیح میده داره چی کار کرده، خودش خجالت میکشه که اصلا بگه من چی کار کردم. چرا این کارو کرد؟ موقعی که داره این کارو میکنه حواسش جمع نمیکنه، دقت نمیکنه، توجه نمیکنه، فضا ایجاد میشه، یه کاری انجام میده. این توجه کردن اگر عادت بکنیم، هر وقت آدم میخواد حرف بزنه، یه حرفی رو شنیده باید این حرف رو بزنم، این درسته. یه کسی گفت فلانی رو دیدم فلان غلط رو کرد، خب من دیدم آیا این حرف رو، شاید اشتباه کرده، ببینم نقل کنم دیگران اونو بدنام بکنم. فکر کنی خدا راضیه شما این حرف رو بزنی؟ فکر اگر بکنیم خیلی وقتا دوچار این کارهای زشت نمیشیم. خدا ما رو نجات بده انشالله از بعضی از این چیزا که آدم میبینه در تاریخ و در همین اواخر هم میبینه. عرض کردم مثالای متعدد هست. خدا ما رو نجات بده از این وضعیتی که یه فضای ایجاد بشه و در بین جمعیتی خدایی نکرده آدم یه کارای شدت زشتی رو انجام بده. صلواتی عنایت بفرمایید. The taqwa that we've been discussing as one of the elements, one of the factors, one of the qualities that is required according to the Quran for one to be receptive to divine guidance, for one to receive divine guidance. We try to discuss it from different aspects, different relevant concepts. What I want to discuss tonight, and maybe it will carry over the next night or two, that's related to being receptive toward divine guidance, may seem that it's a little different than the idea of taqwa, and in a sense it is, but if looked at carefully, one would see that there is a connection and relevance to that as well. But I'll leave that to you. You think about it and see if you see a connection and relevance. But I'm focusing on the idea of receptiveness to divine guidance. This is how we came to the idea of taqwa in this way. We said, look, we want to be recipients of divine guidance. We don't want to be those who reject that guidance. There are those when they receive divine guidance, a messenger, an imam, a divinely guided person, when they come across that, they reject it. And then there's those who accept it. This receptiveness, openness, the heart opens up to that guidance, wants it, adopts it, accepts it, moves forward with it, implements it, as opposed to rejecting it. Besides the idea of taqwa, there's another concept in the Quran for those who are engaged in this path, overall want this. All right. In other words, when you talk about receptiveness to guidance or lack that of, being accepting of guidance or rejecting, sometimes we could be talking in a very broad sense, and then we could be including the discussion of the kuffar. Why do kuffar reject? That's not our conversation here. That's not what we're discussing. We're discussing this amongst believers. There were believers who rejected the guidance of Imam al-Hussein, and there were those who accepted it. Right. Amongst the believers are those who ascend, who keep going, who keep receiving, who keep taking, who keep implementing. They move up the ranks. They get closer and closer to Allah. They get closer and closer to the Ahlul Bayt. There's those who don't. They remain here, or God forbid, they descend to lower ranks. They get worse and worse. For those who are on this path, and when they think of the ranks, when they hear descriptions of great people, you hear descriptions, right? You read the ziyarah of Imam al-Hussein, and you read regarding the companions of Imam al-Hussein, that you need to say to them, طبتم وطابت الأرض التي فيها دفنتم يا ليتنا كنا معكم فنفوز معكم فوزا عظيما. Every year in the month of Muharram, we hear great praises of these companions, whether they are ones who are related to the Imam from the Ahlul Bayt of the Imam, or those who are not. These are great figures. You hear stories of Malik al-Ashtar, you admire this man. You hear stories of Ammar ibn Yasir, you admire this man. You hear stories of Salman, you admire this man. You say, okay, I can't reach the level of Ali ibn Abi Talib toward the Prophet. Maybe we can try to become someone like Ammar, or someone like Salman, or someone like Miqdad. You like the idea. You hear people throughout your lives, you've heard plenty of stories. There's this pious man that had this. I remember growing up hearing on the Manabir, in the lectures, there's this man known as Ali ibn Mahziyar. There are apparently two. This is what we were told. I heard this from a very well-known speaker. The Farsi speakers probably know him, Ali Kafi. A story he told that there's this man, he loved the 12th Imam. He wanted to see the 12th Imam. He went for Hajj 19 times before he saw the 12th Imam. And the story is a long story. The point isn't the story. The point is, you hear the story of this man, like, I wish I was like him. You hear the story of this other pious man, I wish I was like that. You hear the story of, I don't know, you heard Sayyid Ali Qadi Tabatabai, some people here are like, oh, I wish I was like this person, like that person. People hear goodness, guidance, ascension. And as a good person hearing that, you want that. And you wonder, what is it? Why is it that this person got there? I want to be something like that. What do? I look around. I'm trying to find some way of developing that. And I wonder why I can't reach that. What's the problem? What's the problem? Why can I not ascend? Why can I not be better?
We hear another way of putting this. We hear, oh, did you know that the 12th Imam has special companions? I don't know if you guys have heard this term. I've heard so much different things. I have to verify some of this, but like Rijalul Ghaib. I don't know if you've heard that. I hope I'm not introducing a problematic idea. In my understanding of that is not problematic, but there's this thing, and I'll tell you what the reference is. Rijalul Ghaib. There's these people that nobody knows who exactly they are. They're in connection with the 12th Imam. There's a close connection somehow, apparently. And there's multiple stories that there was this setup, this thing happened, and then this guy came from the 12th Imam, did this, that. Like, oh. I'll tell you my reference to say that it seems like there is such a thing. I don't know if this guy's it or not, but there is such a thing. There's a hadith from Imam al-Sadiq salamullah alayh that says that the 12th Imam is going to have two occultations. In the first one, khassatu shi'atih are going to know his whereabouts. The ones who are the special Shia, the special followers of the 12th Imam are going to know where he is. And then he says, Imam al-Sadiq says, way before the 12th Imam, that in the second one, the second ghaiba, the major occultation, khassatu awliyaihi are going to know his whereabouts. There's people that during the major occultation know the whereabouts of the 12th Imam. And that's not just seeing him potentially. They know where he is. They know where he lives. That's a much closer relationship. There is this hadith. Perhaps this thing they talk about it. Okay, so during the time of the occultation, there can be all of this. And then you hear, the number of the special companions of the 12th Imam when he arrives. This certain number, some say 313, the number of the participants in the Battle of Badr, which is about 313 people. You want to be one of them. What's the process? Why do I not see progress? How do I do this? Right? And when you think about it in that way, and then you add one of the points that I mentioned, and I'll elaborate again to get to the main point, hopefully discuss it maybe the rest of tonight and maybe tomorrow, is that remember we said there's the verses of the Quran. It says, Inna alayna lal huda. God says, we present the guidance. You think you're searching to arrive at that? You think you are looking for how to get to that higher level? And you are struggling to find the guidance? God says, I want to give you guidance. I'm searching for you. I'm trying to help you. Well, if that's the case, then why am I stuck? Why am I not ascending? What's the problem? Why is it that I'm looking around and I'm not seeing that? Why is it that I feel lost? Every speaker that comes, every person I get my hand on, I try to ask them. I hear something different. By the end of it, next person I see, still confused. This guy said this. I thought I had it clear. Next person comes with something completely different. Third person comes, again, another different thing. And I've tried everything, and here I am. I'm still, God, how do I get there? If inna alayna lal huda, if God says, I'm the one who guides, I want to guide you, I created you to guide you. If that's the case, then why is it that I don't see that? Why is it that? What's going on? Is it that, no, it's not the case that God is trying to guide me? Or is the problem with me? If the problem's with me, what is my problem? I mean, I'm trying. I talked to God. I asked. What else can I do? I don't have any means. I don't know the way. That's exactly what the problem is. I want to know. Recite a salawat, please. There is an idea mentioned in the Quran related to this that I think is very important for us. Whoever wants to ascend to those levels needs to understand and needs to implement. What is that? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions this idea in different ways. I'm going to give you one reference, one verse. I'm going to work with this part of a verse. It's not the entirety of a verse. Inna Allaha ma'as sabirin. I'll work with this. Okay. Inna Allaha ma'as sabirin. God is with those who are patient. I'll have to discuss what this is, what this means, and the relevance of this idea with the question that I raised. Okay. First, because when you look at it, let me explain. When you initially look at it and what we've heard of Inna Allaha ma'as sabirin, it seems like I thought that was maybe connected to a different idea. Maybe it's connected to the idea of a relief. Like, be patient, God is with you, you're going to receive relief. When you're struggling with hardships, difficulties, and you're trying to get relief, like, okay, be patient. Inna Allaha ma'as sabirin. It's going to get resolved. But I want to suggest that that's not at least the only thing that that line is for. What does Inna Allaha ma'as sabirin mean? Inna Allaha ma'a, we talked about it a little bit. Inna Allaha ma'al muttaqin. The difference here is as-sabirin. What does sabir mean? What is sabr? What's the definition of sabr? We think sabr means, when we translate it to English, when we say patience, right? We take that as meaning the following. Hardship has come your way. Be patient. Take the hardship. That's what we think being patient means. Like, you can't change your conditions. I would like to. If I had the means to change my condition, I would. I can't. So bear with it. That's called, we call that being patient with it. While that can be, at times, maybe something relevant to the idea, patience, sabr, doesn't mean an idea or a concept that is the lack of action. Like, the way we word it like that is like, okay, don't do anything, that's being patient. That's not what sabr is. That's not what patience is. Inna Allaha ma'as sabirin. Sabr, patience, is the concept of bearing with the difficulty while you're doing the right thing and not allowing the difficulty to cause you to make wrong decisions. That's what sabr is. In other words, if I want to use that example of difficulty, if you're struggling with some hardship or difficulty, you look at your options. You do have bad options to take to get rid of the difficulty, but they are bad options. You can do them, but you choose not to. And that means you're going to continue taking the difficulty that's coming your way. That's patience. Not that I can't do anything about it, I just leave it. That's not patience. Patience is, I do see options. For example, I'm struggling financially. I'm very capable to take unlawfully the money that I need. I'm capable. I can do that. It's not like I look there and see, no, I can't steal. Like, I'm not capable of stealing. I'm not capable of taking something. And then so I have no options and I'm being patient. No, you're not being patient. That's not being patient. You have options. You are capable of doing the wrong thing. There are wrong options for you to take to get rid of the problem. But you look at it and like, I can do that, but that's wrong. I'm not going to do that. And by choosing not to do that, you're left with no good options. That means you're going to continue to suffer. That is patience. If you look at Karbala, Imam al-Hussein had the option of giving bay'ah, getting rid of the problem. They could have done that. On the night of Ashura, the companions could have chosen to leave and use the saying of Imam al-Hussein as an excuse. Well, we're not going to be punished on the day of judgment. Imam Hussein says, I lifted my bay'ah. Now we can leave. All right. Alhamdulillah, we did everything. Let's go back to our families and we'll live through this. You have that option. They chose not to go with that option, which meant you're going to be suffering a lot the next day. All right. That's patience. That is patience. Patience is doing the right thing, knowing that there's hardship associated with it, there's difficulty associated with it, whatever that difficulty is, bearing with that and not choosing to do the wrong thing. That's sabr. If you implement that, God's with you. Well, if you do that, God is going to be with you. God will take care of you. When he says in Surah At-Talaq, وَمَن يَتَّقِ اللَّهِ, and here you can see a connection. وَمَن يَتَّقِ اللَّهِ, in what context? In the context of difficulty. I am sticking to what God has said, and that's bringing me nothing but difficulty right now. And I'm wondering what to do. He says, look, if you are going and doing what God has said, you're careful of what he says. وَمَن يَتَّقِ اللَّهِ يَجْعَلْ لَهُ مَخْرَجًا. He's going to create an outlet. Be patient. Keep doing, in other words, what he says. He will open up an avenue that seems to be non-existent. Okay. The wording after that is exactly that. He says, وَيَرْزُقْهُ مِنْ حَيْثُ لَا يَحْتَسِبْ. He will give you the sustenance that you need and you don't see it. All the places you expect it, you try it, all the lawful places, because again, it's about taqwa. There are unlawful ones. I'm not going to take those options. But all the ones that are lawful, I'm looking, it's all dead end. There's no way forward. The only way is to go the wrong direction, go against what he says. He says, don't. I will open it up. You don't see it. You don't know the avenues. Okay. This verse and the continuation, which I will read, is all exactly the same as Inna Allaha ma'as sabirin. Okay, this is what that means. You keep going with taqwa in the context of hardship, difficulty, until God opens that up for you. It's a guarantee. It's a promise. It will open up. I don't see it, but he said, I'll open it up. Trust him. He will open it. And he continues to say, وَمَن, the following words, وَمَن يَتَوَكَّلَ عَلَى اللَّهِ فَهُوَ حَسْبُهُ. How are you patient? What thought process allows you to be patient in that way? Meaning, continue doing the right thing. Don't take any of the wrong options while you see no good option giving you the relief that you want, that you need, that your family needs. The thought process is, I'm trusting God. And he says, وَمَن يَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَى اللَّهِ فَهُوَ حَسْبُهُ. وَاللَّهِ الْعَظِيمِ. He's enough. He is enough. He will bring the whole world for you. He will bring it. He can. فَهُوَ حَسْبُهُ. And the verse continues. There's very important other phrases, clauses, sentences in that verse related to taqwa, related to tawakkul. I'm going to leave that. Inna Allaha ma'as sabirin, that focuses on the idea of sabr. If you want a different way of wording without using sabr, it's this. وَمَن يَتَّقِ اللَّهِ يَجْعَلْ لَهُ مَخْرَجًا. Where do you need a makhraj? Where do you need an outlet? In difficulty. Where do you need something from somewhere you didn't expect it? Where all the expected routes are blocked. That's where you need, like, these are all the expected avenues for me to go and get what I need that are lawful, that you've allowed me, they're all blocked. He says, I'll give it to you from where you didn't expect. Okay? This is patience. This is what patience means. Reworded is this. All right. Now, this itself is a very important concept that we need to understand and stick to that. But remember, I mentioned this as a response, as an answer to a question. And I want to connect it to that question. There's people amongst us that are trying to get closer and closer to Allah. They want guidance. They're not okay with just struggling way down here to be barely a mu'min or a mu'minah, barely making it, just making sure I'm not on the opposite side of Imam al-Hussein, or barely making it to Karbala. Even in Karbala, do you think they're all the same? Even the Ahlul Bayt, do you think the brothers of Abbas are the same as Abbas? You had 3 brothers. They're great people. They're part of the Shuhada of Karbala, but they're not Abbas. They're not Abu al-Fadl Abbas. Okay? These are different ranks. Some people want to ascend. They're not satisfied with just enough guidance so I'm not in hellfire. Enough guidance that I don't take out a sword against the 12th Imam. That's not enough for me. Sometimes I word it this way. One of the biggest fears when you love the 12th Imam, the biggest fear that I have is when he comes. Right now the population of the world is what? Close to 8 billion? I don't know, something like that, right? 8 billion people. Right now, before the coming of the 12th Imam, here I am. هل إليك يا ابن أحمد سبيل فتلقى. Crying, reading Dua Nudba. Oh, son of Ahmad, is there any way that you could be met? Is there any way that I could meet you? Right? I don't get an audience with the 12th Imam. And then the 12th Imam comes, well, there's 8 billion, probably more, the population will increase. People, who is this nobody to be able to have an audience with the 12th Imam? You want to be just like everybody else? Or do you want to be someone that the 12th Imam says, hey, I want this guy, come here. Be close to me. I want you to do this or the other. Where do you want to be? When the mahshar occurs, when everybody is gathered, you see Fatimah al-Zahra, salamullahi alayha, in the mahshar. Okay. Where do you want to be? You want to see her from a distance and just, alhamdulillah, I ended up, thank God I'm not in hell? Or do you look over there like, oh my God, look at all those people that are around her and I'm way back here. I could have been there. Where do you want to be? Do we barely want to make it? Or do we want to be way up there? There's some people that are looking for that. It's not satisfactory for them. Just, okay, inshallah, we're not in hell. I don't want that. I want to be close. And I'm looking for it. You said to be receptive, taqwa, but look, the verses say taqwa. I'm looking. Why am I not seeing it? Why do I feel so distant from the 12th Imam? Why do I feel so filthy? Why do I not see a way of getting to where I don't see myself doing the wrong things that I see myself doing? What am I supposed to do? What happens? besides the idea of taqwa in itself, what we're saying is you need to process the idea of sabr or patience. If this is your thought process, this is what you want, what I just described, you're constantly in the mindset that I want to be by the 12th Imam. Ya sahib al-zaman. In the du'as, this is what we're taught to want. وَاجْعَلْنِي مِنْ أَنصَارِهِ وَأَشْيَاعِهِ وَالذَّابِينَ عَنْهَا. One of the du'as, I don't know those who hear in my qunut, I try to do this du'a. It's taken from a ziyarah of the 12th Imam. One of the lines really draws me, because there's a few du'as that say وَاجْعَلْنِي مِنْ أَنصَارِهِ وَأَشْيَاعِهِ or وَأَعْوَانِهِ وَالْمُسْتَشْهَدِينَ بَيْنَ يَدَيْهِ. Okay. This particular ziyarat, which is around where Du'a al-Ahd is found in Mafatihul Janan, if that's the book that you refer to, it says, وَاجْعَلْ recite salawat, please. After saying وَاجْعَلْنِي مِنَ الْمُسْتَشْهَدِينَ بَيْنَ يَدَيْهِ, it says طَائِعًا غَيْرَ مُكْرَهٍ في الصف الذي نعدت أهله في كتابك فقلت صفا كأنهم بنيان مرصوص على طاعتك وطاعة نبيك وآله عليهم السلام. Okay. I want to be طائع غير مكره. I want to be obedient without any resistance internally, whatever he says. Not an ounce of resistance against anything he says. And from everything you read in history, from the A'imma and their companions, you see some of the highest ranking people. I don't want to mention names because that's not important. We find it in our accounts. There's some level of resistance, a little bit. Oh, the best thing, like the Imam says, no resistance, طَائِعًا غَيْرَ مُكْرَهٍ. You want to be like that. I want to be like that. Currently, I recognize I'm not. I want to be like that. What's the recipe? I'm looking for guidance. I want to ascend. Okay, taqwa, I get the idea. So look, you're not going to open your eyes suddenly and see yourself there. That's not how this works. If you're looking for a magic potion that some ayatollah, some arif, some this, some that is going to give you, and then if you repeat that line this many times a day, or that many times a day, or this many times a week, or that many times a year, that this is going to get you there. Suddenly you open your eyes and yeah, you made it to the team. Doesn't work like that. That's just simply not how it works. At least, according to the Quran, that's not how it works. Who am I? Anyone that tells you anything, if they don't reference on these matters at the very least, if they don't reference the Quran, you should always think, how does that person know? Who am I? Like, am I someone who's way up there and say, hey guys, this is not going to get you there? Who the heck am I? If not lower than you, I'm maybe the same as you. Probably lower. How would I know what's the process? How would anyone know that you could trust, oh, this guy's way up there because what? His amama is slightly this way or that way? Or this color or that color? That shows that this person knows on his own. God told us the path in the Quran. Look for yourself. Read it. In fact, one of the verses that I encourage us to read on this topic in Surah Al-Ma'idah, God says, after talking about the revelation of the Quran, saying in the previous verse that the Quran has been revealed with a certain wording. I can't remember it to read that part. But then the following verse is this: يَهْدِي بِهِ اللَّهُ مَنِ اتَّبَعَ رِضْوَانَهُ سُبُلَ السَّلَامِ. God guides with the Quran whoever seeking to please Him the safe and secure paths. You want a safe path that will ensure you get to Him? God says, Yahdi bihi, with the Quran. Look at the Quran. Read the Quran. Find the guidance in the Quran. One of the things that God says is patience. Patience isn't just for relief from material hardship like financial difficulty. In fact, if you look at the concept of patience in the context of prophets who are the people who have ascended above and beyond, patience is related to this. They're not looking for relief. They're looking for obedience of Allah. They're trying to get closer to Allah. They're trying to do the right thing. And look at the hardships that they went through. Why did they go through those hardships? They're just sitting there doing nothing and hardship came to them. Their whole goal is to get relief from the hardship, the financial hardship. Is that the story of Ayyub? Is that the story of Yusuf? Is that the story of Yaqub? Is that the story of Ibrahim? Is that the story of Yunus? That's not the story of these people. They're not just living their lives trying to get prosperity in the sense of material gains and prosperity and having a comfortable life, and then suddenly hardship comes their way and like, God, can you please relieve us of this? And then it comes their patience. That's not how it is. Ibrahim, after going through so many tests, enormous difficulties, he's now told to come and with his son reconstruct the Kaaba. They finished the reconstruction of Kaaba. Ibrahim says, along with Ismail, رَبَّنَا وَجْعَلْنَا مُسْلِمَيْنِ لَكَ وَمِنْ ذُرِّيَّتِنَا أُمَّةً مُسْلِمَةً. God, me and him, make us submit to you. It's not a title. Make us submit to you. You haven't submitted? Like you've done all this. They threw you in fire to burn you. God turned that into, cooled that down. It didn't burn you. You were sent to exile. You did this. You did that. Now he's still asking, وَجْعَلْنَا مُسْلِمَيْنِ لَكَ وَمِنْ ذُرِّيَّتِنَا أُمَّةً مُسْلِمَةً. That's what they wanted. The patience of prophets. Sure, relief is something that you want in hardship. Yaqub, إِنَّمَا أَشْكُ بَثِّي وَحُزْنِي إِلَى اللَّهِ. He's struggling that his son is not with him. He loves his son. Yusuf. He does want that, but that's not the goal. And why does he love that son? He has all these other sons. In terms of quantity, these are larger in number. That's what they thought. No, this son is special because of his relationship with God. It's out of love for Allah. Patience is connected to this idea of guidance, and I think for tonight the time has concluded. We're done with the time. I'll continue, inshallah. Hopefully I get to a point where I can fully explain this idea and the connection with guidance tomorrow. Sallallahu alayka ya Aba Abdullah. Sallallahu alayka ya Mazlum. Ya Aba Abdullah Ya Hussein. Inshallah, we feel more and more on the plains of Karbala, in the tents of Hussein. Try to picture yourself there in the presence of the Imam, the Ahlul Bayt, at least momentarily throughout these days. Sallallahu alayka ya Mazlum, أيها الشهيد بكربلاء عطشانا. May Allah's peace and blessings be upon you, my beloved Imam al-Hussein. May Allah's peace and blessings be upon you, my beloved oppressed Imam. The Imam who was slaughtered by the Euphrates while his mouth was dry of thirst. This is the night of the 8th. Only 2 more nights Hussein has with his family. Ya Aba Abdullah. They said yesterday they cut off, or earlier today they cut off the water from the khiyam, from the tents of Hussein. It's hard to find water in the tents of Hussein these days. And you all know who's responsible for getting water for the tents. Tonight is the night of Abbas, I am told. Ya Abbas, Ya كاشف الكرب عن وجه الحسين. يا كاشف الكرب عن وجه الحسين يا قمر بني هاشم. Hussein looks at Abbas and his face brings joy to Hussein. What a position to have. Ya Abbas, we all ask you to bring us closer, show us a little bit of loyalty. They say the day before Ashura, the Mal'oon, Shimr, who has some form of blood relation with Abbas through his mother, tries to take Abbas from Hussein. What is he thinking? He brought a letter and said, this is from Amir Ubaidullah bin Ziyad. If you join us, no one will touch you. Shame on you for even mentioning this to Abbas. I will be safe and Hussein will not. How dare you? May God curse you. Ya Abbas. They say on the day of Ashura, this is the flag bearer of Hussein. He makes sure he's there with Imam al-Hussein. The companions go one by one. The Ahlul Bayt now are to go. Abbas still remains with Hussein. Ali and al-Akbar goes. The others go. Qasim goes. Abbas tells his brothers, I want to see you all go. But Abbas becomes more and more anxious to go, seeing everything. Some have said there was a point that Abbas asked Imam al-Hussein, can I go? And they say he said, you are my flag bearer, wait, not yet, this is not the time. But then a time came, the thirst that the children were trying to keep to themselves and not bring it to Sayyid al-Shuhada. Finally, they can't bear it. Ya Abata, oh father, we're thirsty. Is there any way to have some water? Abbas, this is your chance. Jib al-Mai, bring water for the children. They say Abbas decided to go toward the Sharia following the command of Imam al-Hussein. He sees some people in the way. The lion of Haydar fights them off. No one dares stand in the way of Abbas. Abbas makes it his way with his horse to the Sharia. Walks into the Sharia with his horse. Abbas is tall, I'm sure you know. His feet probably touch the cool water of the Sharia. I don't know, they have said Abbas bent over and gathered some water. He's very thirsty. But before he drank it, فَذَكَرَ عَطَشَ الْحُسَيْنِ. Hussein is thirsty. How can you drink this water? He left it and took the water skin, filled it with water. The children are thirsty. I need to get back faster. The enemy thinks if this water gets to the Khiyam, if Hussein drinks it, fighting him is going to be difficult. We cannot allow the water to reach the Khiyam. They hide as they know they can't come across Abbas directly. Abbas is moving toward the tents. They ambush him from behind. They engage with him. He's using his sword. Mal'un from behind him lowers the sword and severs the hand, the right hand of Abbas. Abbas calls, Wallahi in qata'atum yamini inni uhami abadan an dini. They say he held the water skin with his teeth and continued fighting with his left arm as best he could. Another Mal'un lowers his sword again from behind. Abbas loses his arm. Some suggest Abbas may have tried to get his horse to run faster toward the Khiyam, but they start throwing arrows at Abbas. One of the arrows pierces through the water skin. They say Abbas saw this and lost hope of taking the water to the Khiyam. So he changed course and moved away from the Khiyam. Another Mal'un with an iron rod from behind hits Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas on the head. Abbas is to fall from his horse. Anyone who falls from an elevation uses their arms to break their fall. But Abbas has no arms. Abbas falls to the ground. A call is heard. Ya akha adrik akhak. Imam al-Hussein is said to have run toward Abbas, arriving at the body of Abbas. I don't know how many strikes that body had received. I don't know what remains of the beautiful face of Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas, Qamaru Bani Hashim. All I know is that when Imam al-Hussein gets back up to go to the Khiyam, he says, Al-an inkasara dhahri. My back is now broken. Your Imam is now all alone. Ya Hussein. ألا لعنة الله على القوم الظالمين وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون. اللهم إنا نسألك وندعوك باسمك العظيم الأعظم بالزهراء وأبيها وبعلها وبنيها والسر المستودع فيها بك يا الله 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 يا رحمن يا رحيم يا مقلب القلوب ثبت قلوبنا على دينك وعلى محبة أوليائك يا حسين.